Alright, since I don't have an intro, here's the Rachel Black Communion Podcast. With me is Charles Rocky, Charles Armstrong, and Fernando Rodriguez.
Hey everybody!
Fuck it! We're doing it now!
We're doing it live! Fuck it!
For our audience, we are in fact not doing it live. Do not listen to what this man has to say.
Hey. Bill O'Reilly is never wrong, Rocky, alright?
Bullshit!
He has never been wrong, misled the public, or lied ever in his life.
Yeah.
Hey man,
He's never done that.
Listen. Wait, stop, hold on. If the Dillinger escape plan can be alright with Bill O'Reilly, then you can too, okay?
You're right. He's gonna make his next book Killing Dillinger.
Okay, so shall we jump right into the news?
Did you only just say oy vey because I had said it earlier, by the way?
What?
I don't think you noticed, Rocky, but Ryan is actually an old Jewish woman.
Oh, did I say oy vey? Wow, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Oh, really?
Well, that explains the smell of matzo balls coming from across the internet.
I don't even... Ew. Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
I've never even tried hummus.
Fuck?
Okay, first off, how can you not have had hummus?
Yeah, I've never had hummus.
Secondly, I don't think hummus is specifically a Jewish thing.
I think that was the whitest thing you could have said.
I've never had hummus before.
I've never had hummus before. The closest thing I've had to Mexican food is Taco Bell.
Damn.
Okay, that's it. This podcast is fucking over. I'm out of here. Fuck this shit.
Hey, do not diss the Bell, okay? That is pure, authentic Mexican cuisine.
No, it's not.
No, it's not even the Taco Bell thing.
It's not
the
even...
fact that he hasn't eaten hummus before. What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, I've never, ever tried hummus before.
What the fuck?
Yeah, never.
Oh my god.
So the loading bar had the re-education of Nick Hodges in terms of video games. We're going to have the re-education of Ryan Graff in terms of...
We're going to send Ryan Graff with Guy Fieri, and they're going to just eat throughout the nation.
I don't know, that doesn't sound like a bad deal.
God damn, dude.
Yeah. No, it's just like, it was one of those things where I just never really saw a need to try it, so I'm like, eh.
Oh my god.
Okay. Like, it's not
So
like...
some stuff happened this week.
Yes, yeah, like the president of Nintendo dying.
I believe he ate a lot of hummus, too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Why do you think I don't try hummus?
So, Iwata was killed by hummus.
Yeah.
And the Jews, if you ask Mel Gibson. It's really... I don't know why...
Go with all the stereotypes. Huh?
Wait, hold on. Like, were you thinking about Mel Gibson earlier or something?
We were talking about the Jews. I thought of Mel Gibson.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
No, we weren't, guys. We weren't talking about the Jews.
The menace of the Jews.
Anything that didn't happen when the podcast wasn't recording didn't happen.
Listen,
Wait,
the Goyim already know there's no point in hiding it.
Why do I come here every week?
If you can't tell, I'm channeling my inner Pole.
You people are horrible.
I'm gonna be Switzerland instead of stay neutral. Alright, enough with the World War II Holocaust jokes. Let's move on to video games.
And now, a minute of silence of shame.
For our
Shame.
jokes.
Of shame.
Shame.
Wait, who's being shamed here?
Shame.
All of us.
Shame.
I think that assumes any of us can feel shame.
Shame.
I think all like I like to think of us
Shame.
like Alex Jones. The concept of shame just does not make sense.
I really want to rewatch that thing with him on that news line. We're coming to get... If you push us back, we'll come to get you.
Oh, I just want to see him wave a gun at Piers Morgan.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That was amazing.
Wait,
Okay, well, it was a Daily Show edit, but yeah.
Yeah, it was still fucking amazing.
Don't worry, listeners. I have no idea what's going on either.
Okay, if people go... Okay, for anyone listening, go... Just type in...
Oh god, we're actually describing the Piers Morgan interview now.
Yeah, just go look it up. Alex Jones versus Piers Morgan on gun control. It's the craziest thing you will see from... Well, okay, maybe not from Alex Jones, but
It's the only thing that made the Piers Morgan show relevant to society.
Interesting in any way.
It's the only. It gave Night Attack many episodes full of content. That whole interview.
So many, yeah.
So basically, go watch Night Attack if anything.
Yeah.
1776 people. 1776.
Okay, but to go back, Satoru Iwata. Am I pronouncing that?
That's not how you say his name.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Close enough.
Guys, I can't.
Satoru Iwata.
Satoru Iwata.
So the former president of the late president and CEO of Nintendo passed away last week from a bile duct growth he has had for a number of years. He had surgery last year around E3 time to get it removed, which is why he wasn't at E3 the last year. And he said reportedly after that surgery that he was improving in health. However, he wasn't at E3 again this year to reported health concerns, and it wasn't until last week that Nintendo announced that, yes, he in fact did pass away. The man was 55. He initially entered the gaming world as a programmer at HAL Laboratories, where he rose through the ranks to become the director of HAL Laboratories, who then moved on to become the president of Nintendo, which was the first time such thing had ever happened, because I think 3 previous presidents of Nintendo had been Yamaguchis, they started the company. So this was the first. It seems like a common thing in American business where a guy rises through the ranks and eventually becomes a CEO, but in Japanese business culture, that's a very, very unlikely thing to happen, where someone outside of the family name who initially runs a company is chosen to become CEO. And Iwata showed his prowess, where he drove Nintendo through some of its highest points and some of its lowest points, with the Wii, which necessarily wasn't a fan favorite console, was the highest selling console in Nintendo's. He drove it through the Wii and the DS, which were the 2 highest selling iterations of any of their platforms, which he then followed up with the 3DS and the Wii U, which 3DS is having some higher success. Say what you will about the Wii U. You can have negative or positive reactions to what the man did with his career, but 55 is too young to go, especially for a guy that seemed to. And now that I'm sad to say I didn't recognize this while he was alive, but looking over some of his past work and stuff he said, he seemed to care very much about his job and about gaming as a whole. He seemed to really like it. And it's always a sad thing. You never really appreciate a dude who his caliber until they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a shame because he died at like 55, which is pretty young. I mean, and he did stuff like the Kirby series. He did Earthbound, stuff like that. The
thing I didn't even know is for Pokemon Gold and Silver.
Yeah, I was just.
They didn't even know how to get that game to work, like on not even the part where they included the Kanto region in the original game, which is what everyone lauded the game for, is they couldn't even get the original game the Johto region to work. But Iwata came in and compressed the shit out of it. Like, he wrote some great fucking code. He compressed it so much that they actually were able to fit the Kanto region in. So he did what a team of designers couldn't do. He was pretty much the reason why that Pokemon game some people consider is the best one.
Yeah.
He helped found the Kirby series, worked on Earthbound, Balloon Fight, Super Smash Brothers, like I said, Pokemon Gold and Silver, and I think the last game he officially worked on was Melee.
Right.
But, yeah.
Satoru
Iwata, gone too soon.
It is a shame, and there have been people talking about, what does this mean for Nintendo? What's going to happen? Have they even announced a new president yet? Or
no?
I think they have 2 interim CEOs. Where at the moment, God damn it, fucking creator of Mario. How can I forget his name? Miyamoto and some other guy who is I forget his name, but he's called Nintendo's first official programmer.
Really?
Game designer. they're the two interim CEOs at the moment.
Yeah.
I could be topical about the discussion of interim CEOs, but I won't.
Why not?
You gonna bring up the Reddit thing?
I said I would, but I won't.
Jesus Christ. Okay. So we'll move on from that. Say, it's a shame. You died too soon, and it sucks.
So as gamers, we should pour one out for our dead homie. Except that I don't know what the equivalent video game alcohol drink is, so I'll just say pour out a 40 for our good friend.
Well, it's clearly
Yuta.
Mountain Dew Code Red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, guys, it's get Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel. Get it right.
Well, since he's Japanese, shouldn't we just pour out a little bit of sake? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say sake would be the one that makes sense.
So,
They must have some crazy, energy drinks over in Japan that are marketed to gamers that we've just never heard of before.
and I don't know if you want to mention this, but there was also at his funeral, several thousands of people, including employees, fans from across the world, flew in to honor him during his funeral.
I think
Oh, yeah.
the one part of this story, though, to take away from it is that fans are now petitioning to make an amiibo out of Iwata. Just let that sink in for a moment, and let's show how horrible this amiibo thing has really become.
Hey, there was a Reggie.
We have
amiibo.
literally reached peak awfulness.
It's not
Not
that
because they're
far-fetched if
making,
you think about it. There
Not
was a
because
Reggie
they're making
amiibo.
not because they're making merchandise involving a dead CEO, but they're making merchandise of a dead CEO in a merchandise platform that's notoriously out of stock the moment it goes online.
Yeah.
So that means that buy your Iwata amiibo as soon as they come out because you're not going to get them anyway.
Oh God, I'm just imagining the prospect now of people overbuying Iwata amiibos for the sole purpose of overcharging Iwata on eBay or in game stores, essentially trading Iwata for huge sums of cash.
Although I do know now what I'm going to get Armstrong for Christmas.
An Iwata amiibo.
Exactly. I'm going to
I
have him
can't
put
tell
his...
if that was an of rage or an of pleasure from Armstrong.
Both. But he's
I'll
not.
leave it up to you to decide.
He's mostly angry at himself that he's like this.
Although I'm not sure if I can get Iwata's ashes in there exactly, but I'll just find a different Japanese guy. It'll be the same, right?
Armstrong's thinking,
God.
I've hit on bottom.
The Race to the Community podcast. We stay true to our parents' side of podcasting, or we're gonna say some fucked up shit.
The Wada's truly OP in Smash Brothers.
All right.
So are we bad people?
No.
I think it's just
Well,
me.
yes, but not because of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's several other reasons why we're bad people, and I mean, not without bringing this in.
I mean, all the dead puppies can be accounted for. I mean, come on.
They had it coming.
They were fucking nipping at my shoes. I said, hey, don't you take a bite of my Nikes? I like them better than you, puppy.
Girl, do you see what your puppies are doing to my gators?
My gators gotta look nice. Because I'm a pimp named Slipback. Anyway, let's move on. So in other video game news, what do we have?
We'll talk about the Street Fighter thing, I believe.
This is the part where I just let you guys talk. Because
Okay, well, so here's the thing. Okay, so apparently Street Fighter V is going to have, 16 different characters.
16 characters on launch.
On launch, and then apparently DLC characters can be bought for free, but here's the thing. Playing the game will let people earn their in-game currency called, fight money, which, what a concept. And new content, like additional characters, can be either attained by using the fight money or buying it with real money. So it looks like they're going with, kind of what Mortal Kombat did with the whole easy fatalities thing, except it's not as shitty. Now, I don't play Street Fighter a lot. I play it every now and then with friends on Steam and everything. And it's a fun game, but I recognize that it's a huge fucking wall to get into. And it is a pain in the ass to do. To play the game. And I don't know, like, if this seems like a better idea than the last time where they pretty much held characters hostage because they were in, what was it, 4? They were already on the disc, and it was like, hey,
No.
was it? What?
You're thinking of the wrong game. What Street Fighter's been doing, and a lot of other fighting games have been doing this, is like
Yeah.
character, because there's one other part about the story that you ended up missing. So the free content doesn't just extend to the characters. Gameplay balances and changes are completely free overall, so you won't even have to pay for that content update.
Right.
The way they pretty much said it is that you'll buy the disc of Street Fighter V, and that will be the only disc you'll need to buy, and all future content, like balance changes, will just be free, and then characters, as you said, you can either purchase with real money or use an in-game currency to do it.
Right.
The way they've been doing it with Street Fighter in the past, and what a lot of other fighting games have been doing, is they'll just release discs that have, among other things, as well as like character updates and things like that, just changes to the system. So essentially, to try and get rid of that model. The game you were thinking of is not Street Fighter. It was Street Fighter versus Tekken.
Was it Street Fighter versus
Oh,
Or no,
Tekken?
yeah.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken was the one where that was the thing that had the characters that were already on the disc and that you had to pay the DLC for to get. The Street Fighter games
I thought
on their
okay,
own, though,
I
that
knew it
wasn't
was
a
that
feature
one,
they had.
but I thought it was also Street Fighter 4. Or
No, because technically there was no actual DLC. Well, I mean, besides costume packs, there's no actual DLC for the Street Fighter games in terms of like characters. If you
Right.
wanted to get new characters, you had to get the new disc. The exception to this is when the super version of Street Fighter 4 came out. It was like when you picked that up, if you wanted to pick up the arcade version, you could either go and get the disc separately,
right.
or you could buy the arcade edition at a cheaper price, effectively, if you already owned the super version of Street Fighter 4. But no, there were no characters locked on the disc. That's not a thing that happened with the Street Fighter games outside of Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, my mistake, yeah.
Because they make a point, too, that this is referring to future content. And considering that they're kind of changing the systems up a bit in Street Fighter V, what I'm assuming they're going to be doing is releasing the 16 characters with this current new system, and from there figure out, okay, what parts of this system work and what parts don't, and then from there cater their new characters around the changes they've noticed.
Which, like I said, I'm not really I'm not the biggest fighting game fan. Like, I play every now and then. And I don't know, from what I'm reading and from what you're saying, it sounds like an okay idea. Like, as long as they don't try and fuck anyone over and this doesn't go somehow wrong. Like, I can't really see how this can go wrong at the moment, but pretty sure it can.
Well, it depends entirely on whether or not, Capcom decides to stay true to it. If they do,
Right.
they do. The other issue, of course, is, there was actually a story about this in regards to because it's not too similar to, like, some free-to-play games in some ways.
Yeah.
It depends on the way they do it. There was actually a story about this week earlier with Fallout Shelter, where it was mentioning that in the 2 weeks that it had been released, it had already made about $5 million. And apparently part of the reason why was just because of how the microtransaction systems in that game worked, it meant that players didn't find it to be too obtrusive, so they were more inclined to actually spend money on the microtransactions, just because of the way the system of the game worked. It wasn't like you had to pay in order to win. It was just sort of like, if you just want to give us money, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just play it normally. So it depends on like what the exchange rate on the fight money is relative to how much you play. If it's one of those things where it's just like, if you're playing, let's say, roughly, maybe not necessarily every day, but if you're playing like, fairly regularly on a weekly basis, and you're doing a lot of like online fights and stuff like that, you'll get enough fight money to get like new characters and stuff like that. If it's that type of system, then that's fine. If it's one of those things where you have to do like really complex things, such as like, I don't know, like you have to play like for 4 hours every day or something like that, or if it's like you have to win like for 4 hours straight or something like that online, it depends entirely like on what the exchange rate between time played and fight money earned is. And unfortunately, we just don't know what that is until the game will come out. So, But as it stands from a theoretical concept, it actually makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, it does.
Because the logic is, if you're the type of player where you're buying Street Fighter because you want to play it competitively, then presumably you're also the type of person where you're going to be playing the game often, so it will look good on Capcom's part that the game's being played a lot, and you're also probably likely to do tournaments and stuff like that. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you're willing to show your loyalty to the game that you're going to play it that much, then you may as well get some free content. And if you're the type of player where you like playing the games, but you play on a very casual level, or you only really play it when you have friends over and it's just something to do, it's like, well, okay, you can still get the content, but either you're going to have to work a bit more for it, or you can just pay money for it now, sort of thing. And I'm guessing if they're going to be true to it and say, like, this is the only disc you'll need, then I wouldn't be surprised if it was sort of like one of those things where as time goes on, the actual price of the disc goes down, and then by the time, I don't know, they finally come out with their final roster of DLC characters, if you picked the game up, like, if you picked up the game disc at that point, and then just bought all the DLC characters then, it would still probably average out to a $60 or $70 purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Just guessing here, not entirely sure whether or not that would actually be the case.
Right.
Okay, but real question. Can I steal Hadouken and Shoryuken? That's the real question.
I don't see why not.
Yes.
Okay, then that's all I give a shit about.
Do you even play any of the Street Fighter games?
I play them tangentially at somebody else's house.
Oh, okay.
It's more like, oh, I can hit things and we fight each other. Cool. There's no ripping out people's spine like in Mortal Kombat, so I could give a shit. Anyway.
Aside from that, that's really all there is to say at the moment.
Hopefully this turns out well.
Yeah, again, this is fairly recent news just because it was announced at EVO this weekend.
Right.
So we'll see whether or not they bring it up in later previews. But yeah, other than that, there's not much to really comment on it. That was the only stuff that we know so far.
So, Street Fighter's coming out, guys, and according to Rocky and Orion, the system they have in place seems pretty interesting, and hopefully Capcom stays true to their word.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll work.
Well, me and Armstrong are just sitting here like, wow, we couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah. So we'll move on from that, and we'll go to what is basically a bitch move by a bitch company. And we're going to be talking about how Metal Gear Solid 5's box art removes Kojima's name.
So presumably, it's not just, they removed the Kojima Productions logo, and they removed, because you'll see that's on pretty much like all his games. You'll right above the title always say a Hideo Kojima game. They removed that as well. So presumably, if they're removing that from the box art, it may be possible that they may even remove the Kojima Productions logo in like the intro or something, or just like try and distance itself so much from him creating it until like, I don't know, maybe like the end credits or something like that.
God, what if they even took him off the credits?
I doubt they can take him off.
That would be. I don't think they would, but that.
I'm not sure legally they can, or actually they can. They can just say, oh, well, he's uncredited.
Yeah, that's a whole legal issue. I wouldn't doubt they have to make some sort of mention of him just because of his involvement to a certain extent, but it would be like, I wouldn't doubt at this point if they're just being kind of dickish about it, that they just put him, instead of saying, and director, they just put it in like, craft serviceman's table, director of the game. Like, just put him really in the bottom of the list where nobody can see him, right under craft serviceman guys, like, I don't know. It seems like, okay, Konami, I guess since you guys are not, quote unquote, being part of the video game industry anymore, going to your pachinko parlors or whatever, that like...
Pachinko parlors?
Like, it just seems like, why are you guys, for like, I guess if you had like issues or stuff like that, don't be a dick about it. Like, you don't really see Japanese companies going to this level. This seems something like you would see in American companies.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you were just about to say, sorry to cut you off, but... Yeah, you wouldn't see this from most companies unless it's like from a fucking American company. And even then, they would be called out on how much of a bitch they are being.
Is Donald Trump secretly run by Japanese Is it really being run by Japanese Donald Trump? Is that what's Kojima being run by, Japanese Donald Trump?
Yeah, is there a Japanese lookalike that has equally shitty hair?
There cannot be equally shitty hair as Donald Trump.
Sorry, for a moment I thought you were trying to imply that current Donald Trump was being run by a shitty Japanese company.
I don't know. Maybe.
But I mean, it's just sort of like one of those things where it's not even like I'm not even angry. I'm more just confused because it's sort of like everyone knows that Kojima was behind Metal Gear Solid 5 because the series is it's his baby effectively. So it's sort of like one of those things where you just it's more just confusing that you're looking at Konami and it's like, what are you hoping to achieve with this?
It's
like,
childish. It's
like who are you trying to convince here?
Of a little kid having a temper tantrum.
Actually, the weirdest part about the whole box cover change, and this is more just like a very minor aesthetical quality. It's strange how when they got rid of his name and the logo, they seem to actually stretch the cover art so it looks a bit off. Like the actual the actual cover art also looks a bit stretched as well, and it doesn't look as good. So it's a strange quality overall. It's like, okay, like so as well as just like removing the name, they're actually making the box cover less aesthetically pleasing.
So Konami's fucking up even more. Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, honestly, what games that have come out in the last 5 years, or let's stretch it, in the last 10 years, has actually been a success for Konami, excluding the Metal Gear Solid series?
The first Lords of Shadow was a success for them.
Was that like a
success.
really huge success?
It wasn't a huge success, but
it was
pretty sure it
decent enough that they thought they could make another one.
Yeah.
Well, 3 games. Because remember, Mirrors of Fate.
Oh, yeah,
on the
Mirror of
3DS
Fate.
was
Oh,
supposed
right,
to be-
yeah. They had like, what was it? They had like a handheld game or some shit?
Mirrors of Fate on the 3DS.
Yeah.
Which was dog shit.
Yeah. And then they had the second one, Lords of Shadow 2, which was meh.
And I mean, there's
Other than that, what else do they got?
Was any of the Silent Hills considered success, or were they just kind of breaking even on those?
Silent Hill has always been a bit of a
franchise for a while.
When it was at its most popular, was like again because I'm just trying to think in terms of like the actual timeline here, because when Silent Hill 4 came out, that was like in 2004, so more than 4 years ago, and it was at that point that people were suggesting that the Silent Hill series may be going downhill. So like from a financial level, I wouldn't say any of the Silent Hill games past then were really all that successful. I mean, trying to think here.
I know. PES Soccer, that's been a success for them, right?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I think so, probably.
Has it?
Enough that they keep making it every year.
What else do they own, Konami? What else do they own? They own,
They actually do own quite a bit. They just don't do much with it.
Pro Evolution Soccer, Silent Hill, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dance Dance Revolution. Jesus, when was the last fucking time that there was a Dance Dance Revolution game? Frogger. Really?
It might just be that Dance Dance Revolution is one of those, like, I see them all the time in, like, arcades. You see, like, Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, but is it like a new version of Dance Dance Revolution, or is it like one that came out in like 2007?
They have new versions of Dance Dance
arcade cabinets for new songs.
They have the new versions in their pachinko parlors, obviously. Come on. It all comes back to pachinko parlors when you really want to get down to it.
Alright, fucking pachinko.
I mean, once it got replaced by, like, Dance Central, sort of like, well, good game, guys. Closing up shop now. But, I know they do own quite a bit, they just don't really do much with it.
Yeah,
and I think they even said they're not done making big release games. They're just not going to be as open.
Not as important.
Yeah.
Because wasn't there like a... no, I might be confusing them with another company, but didn't they say like they're going into like cell phone games or some shit? Like...
Yes,
handhelds
it was
or
from an
something?
interview it was from an interview with the new guy that was partially mistranslated because the way the interview originally seemed, it seemed as if like they were saying they were going to get out of console development altogether and just focus only on cell phone games.
But dude, everybody's going to cell phone games. We are going. The community podcast is going into cell phone gaming.
Nintendo's going into cell phone games. Yeah, everyone's going.
Strange move too, considering that cell phone games are actually on the decrease right now.
Really?
Well, they're just definitely not as Well, part of the problem is like if you've already set yourself up for it, then you're successful. But if you haven't, then it's essentially you have a lot of competition to go against, and the problem is that like even a big name doesn't necessarily mean a whole hell of a lot because it's like the audience you're appealing to doesn't know what those names mean.
Right. Right.
Well, I mean, I think if Nintendo has such a recognizable cast of characters that they're like, we're gonna put Super Mario Brothers, like the early ones. They can
Nintendo's not on the bad side, but Konami has a lot to.
Yeah, Konami doesn't have as recognizable as the categories of characters like Nintendo does.
Yeah. Now hold on, guys, hold on. I'd like to say that everyone's heard of Bomberman, and
God, they own Bomberman?
yeah, apparently they do.
Jesus Christ, no wonder that series went down the shitter.
Yeah. It's right here. The purchase of Hudson Soft resulted in the addition of other popular franchises, including Adventure Island, Bonk, Bloody Roar, Far East of Eden, Star Soldier, and Bomberman. And most, if not all of those, I've never heard of before.
Some of those stuff I've heard before.
Well, I've heard like Far East of Eden, and obviously I've heard of Bomberman, and I think Adventure Island, but I've never heard of Bonk or Bloody Roar or Star Soldier.
Bloody Roar is a old fighting game series.
Is it?
Yeah.
So basically, Konami can kind of go fuck itself. And Kojima, like we always say when we talk about Kojima and this sort of relation, I hope he goes to bigger and better things in another company, or does something on his own. Who knows?
I doubt the dude's gonna have a big fucking problem.
I'm like, I wouldn't doubt that there's American companies trying to scout him now or something. There's like, because
I wouldn't be surprised if he just took a break in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think that guy needs a break.
Like that seems like the more logical option, where the guy's like, you know what, screw it, I'm done, taking a break. You're not gonna hear from me for at least like 5 years.
Or maybe part of the deal was like, okay, you can take my name off it, but I get the rights for Zone of Enders.
I mean, here's definitely a question of like who the rights belong to at this point.
I want to see a Zone of Enders 3.
That'd be fun.
It's gonna be a lot of nanomachines in Infinite War.
My body is ready. All right.
Actually, now that I think about it, is actually a very interesting question as to like who the rights belong to, because if I remember correctly, Platinum Games is still interested in doing a Metal Gear Rising 2, apparently.
Well, they'd have to talk to Konami then.
And if Konami likes money, they would give it to Platinum to make games.
Well, did Rising sell all that well?
I believe it did.
Pretty decent, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sold alright.
I think that's better than most other Platinum games.
That's true.
And that game, let's be honest, I don't think it really took a lot of money to make.
Well, actually, I think when they handed it over to Platinum at that point, a lot of the production had already been done.
That's true.
Because there's that whole deal where, like,
Kojima
Studios was already Kojima Productions was already working on the game for a while. They just realized we can't really do much with this. So when they handed it over to Platinum, it was just sort of like more the refining process. So I think, if anything else, it's sort of like, well, it's not like Platinum cost them a whole hell of a lot of money.
Fair enough.
Moving on, we're going to be talking about Dead Island 2, and that apparently the developer Jaeger Development, the guys who did Spec Ops: The Line, has been taken off of Dead Island 2.
They made Spec Ops: The Line, Gypsy Danger. They have a pretty good track record so far, but yeah, I was interested in playing this game because I hear a lot of good things about Spec Ops: The Line. Who knows? This could have been a more cerebral game with their input, but it's still Dead Island, so I never gave a shit about them. And I think most of us can say we're pretty tired of zombies. But
It's a bit strange, though, how, like, with the first Dead Island, you had this super serious trailer, and then, like, the game itself was, like, rather silly. But then, like, with Dead Island 2, you have this super serious developer, and their trailer for the game is, like, this super goofy zombie trailer.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Something seems a bit off on this one.
But the real question is, do we still have Jack Black and Aaron Paul? That's the real question.
So that officially was converted.
I don't think it was. I think that was just a rumor that went off on by its own.
Oh.
I mean, they sound like them, but I don't think it was
But it
them.
wasn't.
Well, Jack Black even said, he's like, damn, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
They found their best impersonators.
Yeah.
Probably got the guy. from
Admittedly,
the
it
Kung Fu
was
Panda show.
very close, but it was like no.
I could have. Honestly, I'd never checked. I just like, oh, that sounds like Jack Black. Because I think that's not even like what Jack Black did. Brutal Legend. Did he not put his voice in another video game or?
Brutal
he's in both
Legends, and then he did like one for
He
what
was in
Broken Age. Yeah, which yeah. And I think that was really it that I can think of right now at the top of my head.
So yeah. So anybody else got anything to say about Dead Island? Do we give a shit?
Not really. Like
Not
Dead
really.
Island has always been like Dead Island's been kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
On some like
Kind of mediocre.
okay, yeah,
That's
straight
kind of
up
underselling
fucking
it.
mediocre.
I mean, if you look at mediocre dictionary, you see the definition of mediocre, but there should be a picture of Dead Island there.
No, there's a picture of Dead Island Riptide in there.
Because like what is it? Yeah, like this Dead Island series. It's been like Dead Island, Riptide, Epidemic, and all this other shit.
And then that shitty, like, third-person game which tried to be all
what was it? Yeah, the one that had like really shitty. What's that comic book style called?
Cell shading.
Cell shaded.
Yeah, cell shading.
forget what it was even called.
Escape Dead Island.
yes.
That was what it was called. And yeah, and all of these games have just been generic and really just boring.
And also,
All you can say as a compliment has been, oh, they have cool trailers. Because, like, the first Dead Island had a really cool trailer where it was like it was doing the reverse of showing how this happened and shit. And it was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you have a shitty fucking game, generic game. And, like,
I specifically remember playing the first Dead Island. Like, I hadn't seen anything about it. It was at PAX, and I just stand in a line because you stand in lines to play random games.
right.
And I walked over to the demo of it, and I played about 10 minutes, and I was like, this game is so shitty because it controls like crap. The combat was terrible, and I didn't even wait till my time with the demo was over. I just set it down and walked away.
Which is what you should do for all of these Dead Island games. And it's like, what is it?
and its spiritual successor, Dying Light, which I heard was not that much better.
Dying Light was so fucking... Yeah, Dying Light was...
The parkour zombie game.
It was Dead Island with, like...
Parkour.
Barely parkour. It was barely... It was the generics of parkour.
But could I play the game while yelling parkour every time I ran over some zombies?
Nope. It wasn't even parkour. It was like, oh, you can do what everyone in... You can do what basically Nathan Drake does, but not as awesome. Where you can climb the wall. Kind of.
So basically stuff that you could do in your normal life.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, even the laziest of people can do in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, honestly, I mean, I like Spec Ops: The Line. Like, I enjoyed that game, and I thought it was fun, and I thought what they had was pretty interesting as far as, like, those usual military shooter kind of games got, which was interesting. And I know they're making another game, Jaeger Development. They're making a thing called Dreadnought, which is a space flight simulator.
It's more like their other games, because before they
Yeah.
did Spec Ops: The Line, they did like Flight Simulator. Like,
Yeah, they did
Listen-
like combat flight simulators. Like,
Okay.
in fact, Spec Ops: The Line is probably like their only like
Departure into a narrative?
Yeah,
yeah.
because they've made like 4 games: Jaeger, Aerial Strike, Low Altitude, High Stakes, Spec Ops: The Line, and then Dreadnought, which apparently is supposed to be coming out this year.
So you know what's the real question about this? Why the hell haven't they been contacted to make a Pacific Rim game with the name Jaeger? That seems like a bad lost opportunity.
We get the joke for now, dude.
I'm just like,
Be cutting them
Fernando-
out.
Fernando, because they only work with good series, clearly.
oh yeah. I mean, did I ever say Pacific Rim was a good series? No. I just want to see a giant.
It's one fucking movie.
They made comic books, so technically,
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
That's
Next movie's coming out in 2017.
It made that China money.
that shit.
That China money.
It did.
Yeah, it did. That
It's
Japan
actually
and
weird
China
because
money.
apparently Jaeger Productions Development were the ones who pitched the game to Deep Silver. Dead Island 2, they were the ones who pitched it.
They were just like, guys, you guys are fucking up. Let us handle this.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny that it's like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore. Fuck it. Goodbye.
Well, they had some weird concepts about the game too. Like I read a little bit into it where it was like, they had it so it was 8-person online multiplayer, and they had that thing where the enemies stack with you, which I've always hated.
Yeah, that's such a bullshit thing, honestly.
And like they had stuff like there were never-ending missions, and they sounded so excited when they said it. It's like that just sounded like the missions never end. Like you have to run across town to power up a generator so you can watch the football game. And
Wait, were these Jaeger's suggestions,
Yeah.
or I only asked just because I know
from
the
the mouse of Jaeger developers.
I only asked just because I know the whole like enemy stacking with you thing. That was a part of the first Dead
Yeah,
Island.
that's
I don't
the
know.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think I think any game should do that.
No.
No, bad idea. But I'm trying to figure out if that was Jaeger's idea to continue that, or if that was just like
No, because Jaeger only came in at Dead Island 2.
Yeah,
I know. But what I'm saying is like when they're doing their pitch for Dead Island 2, if they
Oh.
thought that was a positive.
Oh, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, that stuff you're naming where it's like, yeah, to watch the football game, you need to run all the way from point A to point B from across the island to start the generator every time. That doesn't sound exciting. That just sounds generic, annoying, and just fucking repetitive.
Well, and here's the thing about everyone always now because they made Spec Ops: The Line. The thing everyone liked about Spec Ops: The Line was the story, and
Yeah.
the person who wrote the story didn't even work for Jaeger. It was like an outside writer. So
shit.
Oh, so this is a Ninja Theory situation all over again then.
Pretty much.
yeah,
Because what was it? Wasn't Spec Ops: The Line also like kind of based off of what was it?
it's Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
But again,
Heart
if
of Darkness.
if Jaeger
Yeah,
didn't write the story, then it's kind of irrelevant.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I gotta be honest, was anyone even looking forward to this even when the first trailer came out?
Honestly, I forgot about Dead Island for a long time.
Yeah, I did too.
It's like, I think I saw the most, I was like, oh, this trailer looks interesting. And then I just completely left my mind. So, basically, who cares? That's the end-all, be-all of Dead Island.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's it. Or what else do we got? Because
Well, there's some like quick news we can run off.
okay, all right, yeah.
So, like, quick bit of news here. I only bring this up just because. Now, at the time this gets posted, who knows? But at the time we're recording this, not many game sites have picked up on this yet. In fact, one of the few news sites I saw that covered this was Business Insider, of all things. But because the trailer for the new Deadpool film was leaked and seems to been gaining a lot of positive attention, Disney and Activision have come to an agreement, and the Deadpool game that was released roughly a year and a bit ago, that was then pulled from digital shelves, is now back up on digital storefronts for sale. This doesn't apply to every other game, though, mind you. So other games that were removed, such as Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, those games are still no longer on digital services. It's just Deadpool because the the trailer for the film got a pretty good reception, and they figure, well, we may as well drum up some more positive attention for the film.
And the game is pretty funny and pretty badass, so I would suggest people that haven't had the opportunity to check it out, do check it out.
Yeah, the Deadpool game was actually really, really fun, and who made it again? It was High Moon Studios, wasn't it?
High Moon Studios.
And they have a track
We're now
record
working on Destiny.
Are you bullshit?
Nope.
No fucking way.
They gotta
They're
pay the
working on
bills,
Destiny
man.
with
They gotta
Bungie.
pay the bills.
Oh, that can't be fun.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we're gonna have you do the most mediocre science fiction game currently on the market.
Yeah, the most generic fucking thing that Bungie has come out with again.
And Halo's pretty fucking generic, guys.
Yeah. But High Moon Studios, they've actually for the last couple of years have had a track record of being like, oh yeah, we're able to take these things, like Transformers and Deadpool and shit, and make them into some pretty fun games. Because they did the Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron.
Which were, according to many of the Transformers fans out there, aka Matt Frank, were pretty good games.
Yeah, and I played those too, and I'm not the biggest Transformers fan, but I like the series and stuff. But they were both actually really fun.
Yes, and from what I understand, they do fan service really well, because from what I hear about those two games is that they bring in a lot of the lore from the comic books and the past into those games. And even in Deadpool, we saw a lot of the Deadpool's lore from the past being brought in there very smart, very organically, and very intelligently. So I honestly, I'm glad that more people get a chance to play Deadpool, because I felt it was a very underrated game when it came out.
Yeah. They also did Dark Watch. You guys remember that? About
No.
Oh, that was an old Xbox game. Wasn't
it was for PS2 and Xbox, yeah, and it was about, if I remember correctly, it was about a cowboy vampire. Not even joking.
it was Capcom published, I'm pretty sure, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a Capcom thing. Actually, that was their first game in 2005. 10 years ago.
Wait, hold on, what?
Yeah, Dark
He
Watch.
said it was High Moon's first game, not Capcom.
No,
Okay, so
yeah.
I was confused there for things that make no fucking
It was
sense.
their first game back in 2005, which was 10 fucking years ago. Yeah, my mistake.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying this is High Moon's first game, or are you saying this was Capcom's first game?
He's saying it was
of
High Moon's first
2005?
game.
Okay, Dark
Okay.
Watch was High Moon Studios' first game. And that came out 2005, 10 years ago.
Sorry, you put a lot of focus on the first game in 2005, implied that there was something else as well.
No, sorry. No, my bad then. Yeah. It's kind of weird because, they haven't done a lot. They did Dark Watch, the Bourne Conspiracy,
Oh, okay.
War for Cybertron.
Matt Damon!
War for Cybertron, Transformers
I
Dark of the
forgot
Moon,
that game existed.
Fall of Cybertron, Deadpool, and apparently they did the PS3 and Xbox 360 version of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And,
Well, they are owned by Activision, so yeah.
Yeah, and now, and apparently they had a hand in Destiny.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're working on Destiny.
Yeah. Which,
So basically, they've gone to be Activision's kind of like, we need you to polish up this game.
yeah, we need your help on this shit.
And the sad part is that you saw a lot of creativity in the Deadpool game. It just kind of got kind of fucked over with the merger of Disney, where it just kind of the rights issues, and it didn't get the proper treatment it needed to be a big success.
Yeah. Are there any future Marvel games coming out?
It's
The Telltale ones.
Wait,
oh yeah, that's right. Telltale had the rights to make a Marvel game.
oh yeah,
But
okay.
it's
Well,
not coming out till 2017.
besides that, has there been anything besides
Recently?
the games?
Outside of their
Marvel
multiplayer
Heroes.
stuff, not really.
I mean, Marvel Heroes has been a smashing success for them. So.
Yeah. So other than Marvel Heroes, not really anything besides the Lego Marvel games and apparently this Telltale one that's coming out.
And there's probably some Android or Apple.
Oh yeah, there's a whole. I'm looking at the list right now, and there's a whole bunch of Android and iOS and.
So I mean,
Probably all Infinite Runners too.
it seems like a shame that out of something you have to tell Disney to hey, maybe you should milk your products a little bit more by putting them into video games.
It's kind of sad that you have to point out to Disney, hey, come on, milk your products, guys, come on.
Can you guys make a good Iron Man game? What the fuck, man?
Well, I mean, they did the same thing when they got the Star Wars rights, where it's pretty much all their games,
They
or
contracted
just all
out
the
EA.
LucasArts stuff completely canceled and everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just at this point, they contracted it to EA. Why don't they contract something the Marvel property is so hot right now. It's a shame that they don't pimp their shit out to somebody else. How about get the Sleeping Dogs guys to make a Daredevil game? There you go.
I can't help but wonder if maybe it's just because they're trying to hold on to the properties too much, and they're worried that if they give it to anyone else, they're not gonna put out the image they want it to, sort of thing.
But
Because
they did that with Star Wars, and Star Wars is just as much of a moneymaker as like Marvel can be.
EA dropped a
Oh,
fuck ton of money on them to be able to get
That's-
that contract, though.
Yeah.
maybe that's it. Maybe no other company wants to pay off Disney to be able to do it.
Yeah. It seems like a shame to me. So, any other, I don't know, like I mentioned the Sleeping Dogs team working on a Daredevil. What would be your dream team to work on a property for Marvel? If we could just spit one out.
Can I also say the Sleeping Dogs team working on a Daredevil game or an Iron
Yeah,
Fist
that
game?
would be good.
Iron Fist, that would be goddamn. Like, they just take the
Iron
Immortal...
Fist game would be great.
They could just take the game, they could just, like, take Immortal Iron Fist, the comic, and just direct adaptation. There you go. Just make that a game.
Honestly, I want a good X-Men game, because there hasn't been one for a while now.
Who would you like to see make it?
I don't know. Don't really know.
CD Projekt Red, there you go.
Yeah,
I wanna
you know what?
see-
You're joking,
Go
but
ahead.
I was just about to say, yeah, like, the only companies that I trust right now is, like, the only company I trust right now would be, like, CD Projekt Red to, like, do shit.
I
maybe
could
BioWare.
see-
Ryan says this is the only company he trusts. Next week we were going to talk about some other company. He's going to say, this is the only other company I trust.
No.
I could see
Not
BioWare doing it because they've handled team dialogue, and you could just be like, hey, you put one of the X-Men
Yeah.
right
It'd
team.
be alright.
Oh,
They were up to their own
Avalanche do a
devices and
whole
shit,
thing.
maybe, yeah.
I want Avalanche to do a Hulk game because they seem to know how to do destruction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, didn't they
Oh,
do...
yeah.
They made Ultimate Destruction, didn't they?
Avalanche?
Or,
They make Just Cause 3.
or who's the guys who made Ultimate Destruction, like, way back?
Wasn't that the same crew that made Prototype?
Oh God, was it?
I
Have to
think
look it up.
I think it was.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was.
Just to be fair, Prototype...
Radical Entertainment.
Because Prototype is effectively a mutant version of, like,
Yeah.
a Hulk game.
The Incredible Hulk game.
Yeah, they
But to
made
be fair,
Prototype,
the first
Prototype 2.
Oh,
Prototype
God.
I really dug, so...
Hulk Ultimate Destruction was published by Sierra? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because that was before Activision ended up picking up Sierra, if I remember correctly.
The last game they made was Prototype 2. Ugh.
Which, didn't that come
Do
out
they
in,
even
like,
exist?
2012?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was when Spill was still up.
Yeah.
And it's when Loading Bar was still there, too, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, they made The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah, they did. That was actually a fun Simpsons game.
Yeah, it was.
I've never played that game.
It was
It was
really, really
GTA
fun.
for kids who their parents wouldn't let them play GTA.
Yeah.
I.e. me.
What fucking losers. I mean... Oh, well, at least you guys got a game. I mean, yeah.
It was actually really, really fun. Yeah, seriously,
I
they
think-
need to make an Iron Man game.
What was the Crazy Taxi Simpsons game again? Or was that supposed to be Hit and Run?
Yeah, it was Hit and Run, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just remember that one just because my cousins and I played a lot in, like, the multiplayer. We kind of fucked each other over a lot in that one.
Him and his cousins were fucking each other over.
I remember
Oh,
funny enough, the X-Men Origins Wolverine game was actually really fun and gorgeous.
Yes, that game was awesome.
Yeah.
It was also better than the source material.
Yeah. Which, usually that doesn't happen when the fucking
It's one of those
game
weird-
based off of a movie is actually better than the movie itself.
That, like, never happens. That's the one exception that proves the rule.
It was that and the Riddick game.
Well,
that wasn't
it
based on
depends
a
on what
movie.
you're saying. That was
But it was
based
based
off.
on a franchise of movies.
I think that game actually came out before Chronicles of Riddick.
Let me
Yeah.
let's see.
Escape from Butcher Bay.
Yeah.
Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay.
I
Which I
believe
think
it
they
came
made
out.
like a remake of that, or like an
They
HD.
made
Yeah,
this.
they did.
They made
Chronicles
like
of Dark
DLC or something.
Yeah,
It's like
something
an
like that.
expansion.
Well, what it was it was the Chronicles of Dark Athena package, but the way it worked was as well as the DLC, it was just that it was the HD version of Escape from Butcher Bay.
Right, yeah. Yeah. I remember Vin Diesel was like basically like the whole Riddick series is like Vin Diesel's like baby.
Well, Vin Diesel's
He's based off of his. Is it his Shadowrun character?
D&D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is like, damn, dude. You know, it's like it's kind of awesome how much of a geek that dude really is.
Vin Diesel's a fucking nerd.
Too bad the other movies weren't good.
No.
I like the third movie.
The second
Actually,
one
hold
was
on,
okay.
I heard the recent one was actually pretty decent.
The third one was a lot of fun.
And it has Katie Sackhoff in it.
Yeah, and the second one, I think people give the second one way too much baggage. Like, it's okay. Like, it's not like the worst sci-fi movie ever.
I mean, the only thing that could be remarkable about the second Riddick movie was that he got Jane Judi Dench to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that was surprising.
That's like
Holy shit, that's Judi Dench. The fuck are you doing here?
He actually Vin Diesel had Jane Judi Dench actually pay D&D to get into character.
Are you serious?
That was awesome.
I don't think he was doubting when you said that.
Wow.
That's an actual thing that happened. He got Jane Judi Dench to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, so Escape from Butcher Bay came out June 1st, 2004, and for Xbox, and then for PC it came out December 3rd, 2004.
And when it Chronicles
Starbreeze, if I remember correctly.
Let me see. Chronicles of Riddick came
Starbreeze, that's a studio I haven't heard from in a
June
while.
11th, 2000.
Well, the only other games I
Didn't
remember
they
them
make
doing.
WildStar?
Maybe, but the other games I know them for were they made both. They made The Darkness 1, and I think they made The Darkness 2, or that may have been someone else.
No, they did not make The Darkness 2, because The Darkness, like, those are so different in style.
That's true.
Like, way different. I think, who was the ones... I think it was 2K, or some shit. Let me see.
2K Marin, 2K Australia,
Yeah,
2K...
The developer...
Well, because The Darkness... Darkness was published by 2K, which is...
The developer was
2K's
Digital
Saskatchewan.
Extremes.
So anyway, as we've gone tangentially into somewhere else completely, with the Bracelet Community Podcast would like to bid goodbye to all its listeners out there. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just went off of Riddick and superhero comic book thing. So, yeah, goodbye to everyone. I'm Ryan Graff. With me has been Fernando.
Goodbye, everyone.
Charles Rocky.
I don't know why I agreed to be here.
And, yeah, you always say that, and yet you keep fucking showing up. And
well, you keep on messaging me.
Well, I mean, I every so often I'll just show up at Rocky's house with a laser pointer, and that's a gun.
Right. And
oh shit! I told him my secret's out.
And
he points at the wall, and I have no other choice but to go for it because it's a light that's on the wall, and I have to figure out what it's doing.
Rocky's actually an intelligent cat, everyone.
I'm slowly fade out as these two argue.
Yeah, I'm Chris Cox's wet dream, effectively.